Hello and welcome to your Friday afternoon slash evening beer review. As always, held in the void of sunlight and white here, so I can go and easily, you know, show you what coloration the beer is. Yeah. So there's going to be some, yeah, things I'm reviewing, kind of exciting. Um, I'm trying to get hyped for them because sometimes I feel like I'm just a profoundly unlucky person. But anyways, what is it that we are reviewing today? We are reviewing something from Hana Brewing Company, and this is Little Shack Lager. This is a 3.6 ABV lager, so this is probably one of the lightest alcoholic beers I've reviewed. That's not like some ultra light, like Michelob Ultra or something like that. And yeah, so I should mention that all Hanakoa doesn't seem to have a stable line. They're all about just constantly releasing new beers. Maybe they might return to something, down the line, but they don't have any flagship beers. It's just a constantly changing slate, much like Beer Lab Hawaii is. And so that means now when I see a beer that's interesting to me, I know I got to grab it right away because once it's gone off the shelves, I probably won't be able to grab it again. And it probably also means that by the time you guys see this, unless you live in Hawaii, you'll never get a chance to sample this. And that's not to go and build up a sense of FOMO for everyone, fear of missing out, but instead just as a plain statement of fact. Now, this one's pretty interesting to me, but let's go and read the back label first. Eat plenty watercress. Little Shack Lager is a crisp beer inspired by our friends at Sumida Farm. Pulling inspiration from the iconic grass shack, reimagined as a backyard beer stand where good times flow as freely as the beer. Stopping into their Aiea farm was a tranquil escape, like traveling back in time. Here we were introduced to the magic of watercress, a plant as vibrant and rooted in the community as the community itself. To honor that experience, we brewed this small kind lager that's fluffy and soft on the palate, finishing clean and crisp. Perfect to pair with your favorite watercress dish. So, for people in Hawaii, this is everyone knows what they're kind of referring to when you say Sumida Farms because it's something that really stands out. And it's not something that even tourists really know about because it's not in the tourist part of the island, but sort of around the commuter city of Pearl City and Aiea, which is basically just suburbs, right in the thickest part of the commercial area of the town, surrounded on two sides by Pearl Ridge Mall. So basically, it's literally walled in on three sides by commercial buildings, including the mall and a little bit of the monorail that kind of goes right by it because that mall has a monorail. And against Kamehameha Highway on the fourth side, which is a very, very large and busy street, at least in that section. Part of Kamehameha Highway where I live is basically a rural highway. But there, it's like a 6-lane road. There is this farm, a watercress farm, um, that's just in the middle of this commercial district. And this watercress farm is sitting on property that's worth tens of millions of dollars. And back in the 70s, when they were developing the area and buying up all the farms that were there, the Sumidas said, no, we're keeping our farm. We don't want the money. We want to continue farming. And so a mall was built around it and all this other stuff. And, you're just going down this commercial drag, and then there's this watercress farm there, and even more picturesque, there's this little island that really does look like, you know, a stereotypical kind of like desert island thing with a single palm tree. Literally, there's a single palm tree growing in this little tiny island in a little grass shack. And that was built decades ago for an elderly worker at the farm. And that was so he had some place to stay when he was taking his breaks. And Sumida Farm still produces watercress. It's kind of built on a natural spring, so they just have like their own source of water. And while they do tours for school children to demonstrate, you know, local agriculture to them, it's closed off to the public. You can't just go and walk in there and, you know, marvel at this, you know, farm that's in the middle of a business district, for better or for worse. And they prefer to keep it that way. They don't want tourists, you know, going through the field and ruining the crop. Obviously, watercress is kind of a delicate crop. And yeah, I don't eat watercress that often. It's not because I have like an aversion to it. It's just it's not something. It's not in things that I usually prepare. My great grandfather, it was his favorite vegetable. He kept like a jar of it, you know, with the shoots sticking out of it, so he could go and nosh on that whenever he wanted salad. Um, you know, so yeah, and probably came from Sumida Farms, honestly, or well, that was back in like the 30s through 60s, so you know, it could have come from another watercress farm. There was more than one back then. But yeah, I've talked for 7 minutes about, you know, just this particular sort of just a story behind this beer, and it's an interesting story, I think. And if you're ever in Hawaii, maybe you can, if you're going to Pearl Ridge, you can drive by and just see that little farm with the little island with a single palm tree sticking out of it, with the grass shack right next to it. But don't go in, you know, mind the private property signs, mind the no trespassing, because God knows enough tourists don't freaking mind that kind of crap already as it is. Okay, let's go and pour this one out. Okay, so a very, very pale yellow. It looks a little bit darker from camera than it does to my eyes, but it's very pale. Has somewhat of a haze to it, but very nicely carbonated, with a fluffy white head. Honestly, smells more ale-like than lager-like. There's some citrus, crackery malts, and a sort of spicy herbaceousness that is very different from kind of like the spicy herbaceousness that you can get from noble hops sometimes. It definitely smells more green than that. It's probably the watercress right there. Okay, onto the palate now. Okay, finish is sort of clean. Just kind of a ghost of maltiness in the long finish. Kind of lemony, crackery notes up front. An odd kind of flavor in the mids that I can't really place or describe. Um, it's probably the watercress, but it doesn't taste like watercress. I'm guessing that the brewing process kind of changed the taste a little bit. Watercress to me kind of has like a spicy bite to it a little bit. Hop bitterness in the mid to finish. And interestingly, despite being just 3.6 ABV, it doesn't taste watery at all. You know, the mouthfeel is actually, well, I wouldn't say it's full, but it is substantial enough. The head retention is really great for this, a beer this light too. By the way, some nice carbonation bite up front. Nothing too sharp. Really, the only thing that kind of makes this distinctive as a lager is the cleanness of the finish. Um, Most of the taste notes, kind of lemoniness. Um, More malt forward. It's also kind of a slight sweetness in the mid to finish as well. Kind of wonder if also too the watercress is kind of merging with the hop bitterness there. Not that it's particularly strong hop bitterness, but you know. So yeah, while it's not a complex beer per se, it's pretty complex for something this light. If I haven't mentioned the top note, it's because Hawaii summer is in full blast right now, so the humidity is kind of difficult for me to get top notes, and K's for that matter. Yeah, but it definitely has that spicy herbaceousness in the top note as well. If you're wondering why my hair is like this, it's because I was scrubbing out the shower, and I decided because it's hot out, I decided I'm just going to soak myself down in some cold water too, and it felt good, and that's why my hair is all combed back instead of being the usual bird's nest. Yeah, this is a nice summer ale. Well, sorry, summer lager. Again, you know, it's a little bit confusing there, but I mean it's still good. Um, if you like light sessionable beers, definitely give this one a shot. Oh yeah, now it's warming up a bit. Yeah, the watercress is coming out a bit more in the finish. Kind of a green flavor, you know, salad greens kind of flavor in the finish. Not intensely so, but there. Also in the front too. I guess if you want the watercress to show up, don't have it like refrigerator kind of cold. Yeah, it's definitely showing up more. Again, not really that spiciness of watercress, but more just like that sort of greenness. Maybe there is a bit of spice up front, and the carbonation is hiding it. I don't know. Give this one a shot and see what your thoughts are. Well, if you're one of like the 3 people in Hawaii who watch this. I know most of my watchers are not in Hawaii. But yeah, Hana Brewing Company, Little Shack Lager. Small kind lager. And that, folks, is your beer review for this evening. Cheers.